My story has been told many times. You can read it in police files and court records, case notes, and daily logs. The story of my birth, for example, told by a judge sentencing my mother to prison soon after my arrival in this world. And there's the story of that day when I was 5 in the case notes of a social worker who drove me to a foster home and then, a few days later, drove me back to the projects, to the room I shared with my abuser. The story of my childhood was told multiple times by juvenile probation officers who found me to be a problem, best managed inside the walls of an institution. In the illustrious space, cold and intensely bright in my memory of an adult courtroom, it would be the robed and sober voice of a judge who would foretell my death when I was 13. Relying on the stories of police officers, lawyers, and other accomplished professionals, he would send me to Florida State Prison, never to be released. As I said, my story has been told many times and by highly regarded experts in their fields. But today, if you'll bear with me, I would like to try to tell it to you myself. I have reason to believe the experts may be wrong about me. You see, today, 30 years later, I am neither in prison nor dead. In the stories told of my life, each begins with a crime. A crime by my mother against a neighbor. Crimes against me. Crimes committed by me. My stories are all defined by legal codes and diagnostic categories. To tell you the truth, I struggle to shake these, to describe myself to you as I am, in all that I am. My sense, though, is that this is an experience true to millions of people who, like me, happen to be born into poor neighborhoods at a time in history when the intervention of choice is arrest and incarceration, even for mothers of infants, even for young children. I would like not to begin my story as the experts have done with the story of a crime, but that is, in fact, the reality of this life. So I will begin with the story of the worst thing I have ever done, the crime I was sentenced to die in prison for. But I begin here not because, as the experts have said, this defines me. I begin here because I hurt someone very badly during a time in my life when I was blinded by my own hurt. And I want to admit to it. I want to state the truth of it. I think I owe it to her and to the child that I was. I think we need to speak about harm, what we've done, what's been done to us, because that is what will open doors, what will air out and begin to heal the wounds we carry and have caused. And that is what will allow for new stories to begin to be told. I am telling you my story today because I want to tell a story of hope and meaning, of being one among a human family. I shot Debbie Baigrie on July 27, 1990. I was 13, and along with a group of older boys, I was trying to rob her and the man who was walking her to her car. He, of course, was walking her to her car out of concern for her being a woman, alone at night, in a parking lot. My friends and I were the embodiment of his reasons for concern. And I believe that night, I only confirmed any beliefs he had about kids like me. At the time, my mom and I were homeless, staying with a family friend in the housing projects I had called home most of my life. Central Park Village had been a prosperous, entrepreneurial black community before I was born. But after deadly riots and looting there in 1967, the neighborhood had fallen on hard times. It was now a complex of rundown, low-rise buildings, riddled with poverty, gang violence, drugs, and crime. Because Mom had let the rent on our place fall behind, she and I were staying with a lady known to me as Aunt Lois, though she was no relation of ours. During my childhood, Central Park Village was a place of comings and goings among family, friends, and acquaintances. The place was full of people like us, roamers,